Hey everyone, welcome back to What's the Deal? The place where we break down trends, current events, and all the stuff you might hear about but not totally understand. Today, we're diving into the story of Cardinal Timothy Dolan. Who is he? What's his role? And why is he making headlines right now? If you've heard his name mentioned but don't really know what's going on, we've got you covered. Let's start with the basics. Who is Cardinal Timothy Dolan, and why does he matter in the first place? Cardinal Timothy Michael Dolan is one of the most prominent Roman Catholic leaders in the United States. He's been the Archbishop of New York since 2009, which, for those who might not know, is kind of like being the CEO of all the Catholic churches in New York City. This role makes him one of the most high-profile religious figures in the country, especially since New York is home to a huge Catholic population and is one of the most influential archdioceses globally. Dolan is known for being charismatic, media-savvy, and someone who speaks out on big issues, both religious and political. Over the years, he's built a reputation as a leader who isn't afraid to speak his mind on controversial topics like immigration, religious freedom, LGBTQ rights, abortion, and poverty. He's got this larger-than-life personality, often appearing on TV and radio shows to discuss faith and politics. But that's the usual Dolan. What's he up to today? Why is his name popping up in the news lately? Well, to understand the current situation, we need to talk about two key issues that have been heating up around Cardinal Dolan recently. One is related to his ongoing influence in the Catholic Church, especially around sensitive social topics. The other is more connected to how the Church is responding to some major legal challenges in New York. Let's unpack both of these. Dolan's stance on many social issues has kept him in the headlines for years. But in 2024, this is even more intense because of two hot-button topics: immigration and religious freedom. Cardinal Dolan has been an outspoken advocate for the rights of immigrants, and he's often used his platform to criticize government policies that he sees as inhumane. For example, when New York City has struggled with a surge of migrants and asylum seekers over the past few years, Dolan has been at the forefront, calling for compassion and urging people to remember their moral obligations to help those in need. This has put him at odds with certain political leaders and groups who want stricter immigration enforcement. And it's a major reason why he's been in the news recently. He's been both praised and criticized for his stance, with some saying he's a voice of moral clarity in a time of division, and others accusing him of overstepping his role as a religious leader by getting too political. At the same time, he's also been involved in defending religious freedom, particularly in the context of LGBTQ issues and abortion. Recently, he's made waves by speaking out against legislation that, in his view, undermines the rights of religious organizations to follow their beliefs. For instance, in New York, some state laws surrounding healthcare and LGBTQ rights have clashed with the Catholic Church's teachings. And Dolan has positioned himself as a defender of the Church's right to maintain its doctrinal practices. This balancing act, supporting immigrants while defending traditional Church teachings, puts Dolan in a tricky spot. He's walking a fine line between being a compassionate religious figure and sticking to more conservative Church values, which means he's constantly in the spotlight. But there's another, perhaps even bigger reason why Cardinal Dolan is in the news right now, and it has to do with the legal battles facing the Catholic Church in New York. In recent years, the Catholic Church has been grappling with a wave of lawsuits related to sexual abuse by clergy members. Back in 2019, New York passed the Child Victims Act, which created a temporary window allowing victims of childhood sexual abuse to file lawsuits, no matter how long ago the abuse occurred. Thousands of cases were filed, and the Catholic Church, including the Archdiocese of New York, has been at the center of many of these lawsuits. The fallout from these lawsuits has been enormous. Many dioceses in New York and across the country have faced bankruptcy due to the financial costs of settlements and legal fees. While Dolan hasn't been personally implicated in any abuse scandals, his leadership of the Archdiocese of New York means he's responsible for guiding the Church through these tough times. Recently, there's been talk of more legal action against the Archdiocese, and Cardinal Dolan has had to navigate these rough waters, balancing the need for justice and compensation for victims with protecting the Church's financial and institutional stability. This has put Dolan in the difficult position of being a Church leader who must reckon with past wrongs while still trying to maintain the Church's future. To understand why Dolan's handling of these issues matters so much, let's talk about his leadership style. Cardinal Dolan is known for being approachable, with a kind of guy-next-door vibe. He's a big, jolly figure, often seen laughing, telling jokes, and even engaging in some good-natured ribbing. This charisma has made him a media favourite and helped him connect with people, even beyond the Catholic Church. But Dolan also has a reputation for being deeply traditional when it comes to church teachings. This mix of warmth and conservatism means he's often trying to appeal to multiple audiences. Liberals who appreciate his stances on immigration, and conservatives who look to him to defend traditional Catholic values. Some say this balancing act makes him a pragmatic leader, while others criticise him for not being more decisive or outspoken on either side of the spectrum. Dolan's leadership has been tested like never before as he tries to manage the Church's response to the sexual abuse crisis. He's advocated for victims to receive justice, but he's also had to make hard financial decisions to protect the Archdiocese's future. This dual role, pastor to the people and CEO of a massive religious organisation, has kept him in the headlines and earned him both praise and criticism. So what's the deal with Cardinal Dolan right now? Well, it's clear he's facing one of the toughest periods of his leadership. On one hand, he's trying to guide the Church through intense legal battles and the moral reckoning of the abuse scandal. On the other, he's continuing to speak out on major social issues like immigration and religious freedom, which keeps him in the public eye and often puts him in conflict with political leaders. Looking ahead, we can expect Dolan to remain a central figure in discussions about the role of the Catholic Church in America. His voice on social issues is unlikely to quiet down, and with more lawsuits on the horizon, his leadership will continue to be tested. The big question is, how will he balance these enormous responsibilities? Can he maintain the Church's moral authority while steering it through the stormy waters of legal challenges? And what kind of legacy will he leave behind as one of the most high-profile Catholic leaders of our time? That's the deal with Cardinal Timothy Dolan today. We'll keep an eye on what's next for him and the Archdiocese of New York. Be sure to hit the like button if you found this helpful, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching. What's the deal? See you next time.